Hello and welcome to my world of crochet. My name is Stine and today I'm here with you for another yarn talk video. And I am sorry it's a little bit later on the day than originally planned for this yarn talk video, but I was not able to complete it this morning. And yeah, sometimes that happens, and I did actually warn you a little bit about it last week. But yeah, before we start talking about yarn, let's just shortly talk about my faithful mug of tea here, which today contains a black tea with a lemon flavor. So it's just a plain lovely black tea with a flavor of a lemon. It's a comfy tea, slight bit warm right now because I literally more or less just brewed it, and it is in a thermos mug, which is absolutely doing wonders keeping my tea warm. I'm using it also for when I'm working, because sometimes I end up talking with customers, and then if I have a regular tea mug, it just goes cold quicker than I can get it drunk. So yeah, this does a great job keeping my tea warm for like upwards 4 to 5 hours. So that's really great, at least if the tea lasts me that long. But enough about tea and my beloved tea mug. A few things of course have happened since last week, and I've progressed on my projects a fair bit. There are things that I would like to progress faster with. There is always like that. But so yeah, I haven't finished any projects since last week, but I'm pretty close, and I would say I'm probably having a few finished for next week's yarn talk. And on that note, next week's yarn talk will first be on Tuesday, because I do have an appointment on Monday morning, and my Monday evening will be too busy to actually be able to record and send or just handle doing a yarn talk. So I will be doing that one Tuesday morning instead. I will have another video for you to watch Monday morning, so stay tuned for that. That is another accessory hauls from Temu. But yeah, so what have I done this week? Let's stick to trying to keep the projects in order as I start them, and keep them in the same project of when we're talking about it. At least that's the thing I've been trying to do. So I start with finished objects. I don't have any. Then I start with the projects I've been working on the longest, until basically the newest projects in the batch. And the progress in each project basically depends on my mood or any other goal settings. But yeah, we will talk about this as we come. So I have progressed on the baby blanket. So I am currently working on this lovely baby blanket in a shell stitch, and it is so ever growing. As you can see, I'm here right now, and the end of the round is basically here. So I only have 4 shell stitches to go to complete this round, and then I will make a new round of V stitches, and then a new round of shell stitches, etc, etc. I did more or less, this was basically where I ended last week, so it's not like an awful lot. And I had the time to do this, I do believe. Did I have an off-face meeting where I just needed to listen? Something like that. But I didn't work a lot on it, because I spent a little bit more time on some other projects that I kind of sort of have a deadline on. But yeah, again, it is progressing, and right now it feels like it's taking forever, but that's simply because I'm not putting as much time into it as I could, I guess, or not necessarily as I could, but just as it fits in. But yeah, once this is done, I have another blanket in mind that I want to start on, even though I swore to myself somewhere halfway to where I am now that blankets is not really my thing. It takes forever and forever and forever, and it's not super good for my patience, because it doesn't feel as quickly progressing as other items where you can, like if you make several pieces for a garment you're sewing together, or amigurumi or hat that's easily made and quickly done. it just feels somehow less quick and productive to make a blanket, even though it just, yeah, it's a dedication of love. It's a love work, love project, you would say, right? But as if you saw my yarn haul video, not last week, but the week before, my second official yarn haul from Yarn Plaza, or the Dutch version of Wool Plain, you noticed that I bought myself a crochet package or a crochet box containing a crochet kit for the Fleur blanket, which is about 1.4 by 1.4 meters size-wise, and it's a mosaic pattern blanket. And I really adore the design, so great kudos to the designer, Anke Wintermans. I'm going to do that blanket once this one is complete, so I will be starting on that one to have a blanket going. That's definitely going to be a blanket that I will take a lot of my time, because I've never ever in my life done mosaic crochet before, so that's going to be completely new adventure for me. But I hope I will feel progress goes quicker, because you can actually see color changes, where this right now, it's just one big lump of white. Like it's all white, everywhere is white, right? Though I am going to add this sort of border of pink, baby pink, before I add a bit more white border to kind of make a nice edging on this. I'm using this ice acrylic yarns for it. It's a pull skein, 150 gram pull skein. I have more white laying around, and I definitely also have more pink. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm basically gonna work this one to the end, measure the blanket, and try to make an assessment if I need to make it a little bit wider before I add the pink. The original goal was to have it about 1 meter by 1 meter before adding the pink borders and then adding the final borders. But again, we'll have to see. I do have enough white yarn to be able to do it. And I should also have enough pink, I think. I will have to look as we get closer, but I do believe that should not be the issue. So that was my baby blanket. The other project that I am working on is the Oasis Cardigan by Drops. So that's a Drops design. And if you have followed me, you have noticed that I am working this lovely pattern for the Oasis Cardigan. It is a Drops design pattern, and I am also using the Drops Baby Merino yarn. That will be this a lovely, lovely yarn. You can see here it's a Baby Merino mixed yarn, so it's 100% merino wool. It's very soft and nice and comfy. Like, I am generally quite sensitive. If it's itchy wool, I will not wear it. Like, the end, I will not wear it. Or there has to be a layer of cotton cloth or something else, a layer in between me and whatever is woolen, because I will get the itches if it's not a very soft. This one is a very soft wool. I can definitely wear this one against my skin. So that's positive, obviously, since I'm making a cardigan of it. Though I would still like the cardigan, hopefully, to have room enough in the arms for me to wear a thinner shirt underneath, like a thinner long sleeved shirt. That's kind of just nice to have if possible. It's a lightweight yarn, so these donuts are coming in 1.8 ounces, so that's 50 gram donuts, and they are 175 meters of yarn, or that's about 191 yards. And again, 100% wool, and it's the smallest or lightest yarn weight that Drops is offering. And I am having this gorgeous, gorgeous, very light gray color, which is the colorway 22, and I bought like, I think 11 or something like that, odd skeins from it to make sure I had enough. So if you followed my other yarn talks, you will have noticed that I got the first part done, and then I basically realized that I've been doing it wrong, quote, not completely wrong, but that I worked into the change rather than just working into the gaps. And I ended up deciding to change it around together with another thing that's, I do believe, making a nicer finish to the project. plus it's quicker for me to do, and quicker is a good. So what I've done since last time is not an awful lot, but I have finished the complete A2 and A3 pattern. So that's basically what you can see here. And this right now is as big as it's now time for me to increase for my arms, basically, or I might need to do one more round. I am a little bit in doubt because the measurement is just maybe just too small, or maybe not. I will have to try recompare actually. It kind of depends on where I measure on it. But it's only like a centimeter. So if I'm adding more before I increase for arms, it's only a maximum of 1 round. What you can see is that I am working these lovely fan stitches. It's a bunch of chains with double crochets, like 2 chains and double crochet, 2 chains and double crochet. Then we have more shells here. And these fans or shells, they are 3 double crochets worked into 1, basically. And then we have a bunch more, etc. And that's just how it goes the way around. It keeps its pattern and the increasings and so on. Because I had finished almost complete skein and worked it up into this, and now I decided to do it in a different way. I thought it was better to take a new skein and test out if I liked it more before I unraveled my old work, because what if I did not like the other way of doing it? Then it would be really a shame to unravel it all to just redo the same exact work. So once I had 2 pieces that were more or less identical, I made the conclusion that my quicker way of doing things, I think looked nicer, or the difference wasn't that big. So it was definitely worth keeping doing it like that. This was also the last round, is also when I had to change yarn from the yarn ball. And so I finished the last round and I basically started working with a new ball, but I did not take a new ball or a donut. Instead, I just basically started working from the other end. So this would be the old, and I'm basically just unraveling it as I am crocheting, because in the end, if I do have any yarn left over, even if it's a complete donut, I'd rather have it like this than in a project that's sort of worked up. So I thought that was the best way of doing it, and I don't want to unravel it and wrap it all into a ball and then work it from there. Instead, this is actually much quicker because I do have some sort of control of the yarn in that way. I just need to slowly unravel as I go. Again, each to their own. I don't know if you do it in this way, or if you prefer, if you unravel and know you have to unravel the whole project and reuse the yarn. Do you take it as you go, or do you just unravel and make a big ball of yarn, or what do you do? Let me know, comments down below. But yeah, just to wrap up the last bits, is that I just finished this complete pattern so far, and I have gotten to more or less the next step in the project. So I just need to read if I want to add 1 more row, how I do it. I think it's just basically increasing here, but I will need to read to make sure, absolutely sure. And then it's time to add arms, and 1 complete fan will be like this, and then it's like, this is like an arm is equally an arm gap is basically a fan. So let's see, from here to here is the space it takes to create the arm gap, or from here to here for that case, because for each of the starting patterns of A2, I have a stitch marker, which I'm moving up every time I'm going around. So that's basically the back side of an arm gap, because this is too small, but it's just basically that full size. How big the sleeves are yet, I've not really figured out. It's also something I'll have to look if that's adaptable, because I do have a little bit bigger upper arms than the majority. It's something I've always had. Obviously it's not gotten less as you gain weight, but generally it's, I also had it when I was younger. I'm a little bit more heavily built than your average person. Like even my wrists compared to my size are pretty dense and pretty compact, and there is not a lot of fat here, like it's just thick bone. So I'm pretty Viking thick boned, I would say, at least that's my impression. So but yeah, so of course I am linking to the pattern of this Oasis down below, and I do know that drops patterns are not the easiest to read. For the drops I am using my Prim 3.5mm crochet hook, and then I basically just, I do believe, have like a true project 2 quote 3, but one of them contains 2 items within the same project left that we need to talk about. And those are both amigurumis, actually. I started about 2 weeks ago, maybe? Yeah, that must be 2 weeks, because we did talk about a little bit progress last time around. I started on the Bunny Friends amigurumi pattern, which is a very lovely bunny amigurumi. I am right now missing, I do believe, 3 pieces in total, and then I can assemble, and I do have a lovely bunny amigurumi. I am making this bunny in a blue yarn, and it's a blue chunky chenille yarn from Budget Yarns. So, and this a lovely yarn, and it's a thinner, don't know what that word was. It's a somewhat thinner chenille yarn compared to many other chenilles. If we compare them to, let's say, Hobby, this is thinner than the Honey Bunny, or what's the other one called? Yeah, you know what I mean. But it's thinner because you can use a small crochet hook with it, and basically you get more yardage for the weight. These small cakes are 40 grams, and for those 40 grams you get 72 meters of a yarn. It's 100% polyester, and you use a crochet hook of 5mm. For the bunny pattern itself, I'm using a 4mm crochet hook, because it is for amigurumi. I could imagine you might want to upsize if you're making something else, like a blanket or a lovey or something like that. Can be washed at 30 degrees, lay flat to dry, and it's made in China. This is colorway 61, and I'm using one more color, and that's light blue, and that's colorway 63. I don't know where colorway 62 is. It's not even there on the site, at least not from where I've been ordering this. And when I ordered this, were the only 2 that was around the same colors that was actually available. So therefore I chose these colors. The darker blue here is the one I'm using for the main rabbit. And then this lighter blue is like the end of the paws, so to say. And I have used a full skein and almost used my second skein so far. So that's basically, you can see what I have left of my second skein. I have 3 in total. And just 1 of the light blue. And what I've done piecewise for this bunny is I've made the body, and it's just said fillet, and it says fasten off, but it didn't say close. So far I might need to fill it more. Not completely sure. I will read when I get to this assembly part of the pattern. So as you figured out already, this is not a no-sew pattern. Actually, none of my amigurumi patterns today here are no-sew. So I need to find my darning needle. Then I made the head, which I think is absolutely freaking cute, to say the least. This is the head. A little bit unaligned right now. I'm not really sure what happened to it. But that's the head. So you have the lovely eyes. You have the nose I already worked in. The nose I made in a cotton yarn from Hobby that I will also be using for other things, but it's a nice way to just mark it. And that's it. So basically you have a head and a body, and then I have finished both ears. So I'm just going to remove this because I can't have it all in my hands at the same time. And I fasten this completely off all the way around. and I will have to sew on the ears, which is basically these long fluffy ears it will have. So it's a hang-ear rabbit or bunny. And I made the first paw, and it's the front paw. And here you can see the wide end, and I stuffed it, and it's ready for assembly as well. So it has somewhat long paws compared to body size, but amigurumis is not about correct proportional size, it's about keeping them darn cute, isn't it? So yeah, and here I made this lovely crossfade correct change of the colors. So it's not like zigzag crossed. So I changed, interlaced and worked around both colors for the whole round, so that the bottom is because I've worked from inside, so the bottom is the light color and the top is a dark color. So basically one stitch is kind of containing both to ensure it's a nice smooth edge. So I need to make one more front paw, and I need to make the 2 legs, or back paws, what's more correct? And then I will have to sew it together, and that's basically what I'm missing for this bunny. And I maybe, I hope to have this finished for next week's yarn talk video. It's not unrealistic. But yeah, a few things of course in my life is coming up as well. So if I'll manage to reach it, time will show, but it's getting closer to finish, that's for sure. I have added the pattern on links and all the stuff in the description box down below, as I do with all the projects that I'm currently working on. So, and yeah, I've been using, and also to help me test for the review I will be making, I've been using this 4mm crochet hook from, oh, I should know that, from Clover. It's a Clover Soft Touch 4mm hook, and it's also equally a US size G for those interested in those terms. And it's worked absolutely wonderful with this yarn, no doubt. I still have the feeling, spoiler alert, that the shafts here could be longer, but that's an eternal same entry point feeling. The other amigurumi I've been working on, and I'm just pulling a few things a bit closer here to easier have them within reach, is the cute little Harvest Moon cow. This is a pattern by Last Stitch Crochet the Left, I think. Last Stitch, oh, sorry, Last Stitch on the Left. Sorry, I cannot read apparently. Last Stitch on the Left made this free amigurumi pattern. I found it basically by Googling cow pattern. And why am I making amigurumi cows? Well, we have family in New Zealand and we're about to send a parcel of goodies to them. And I decided basically that I wanted to send them some amigurumi cows because the grandchildren of my partner's cousin are not very old, and they live on a farm. Their dad is a farmer, and they are dairy farmers. So I thought, what not more cute to send them? And it's a boy and a girl, and I think the girl is from April or May, maybe it was born in April this year, I think. And the boy is 3 years, closing up on 3 years or something like that. So they're still pretty young. So I don't think that we're gonna have a lot of enjoyment of them yet. And there is not a lot of room left in the bag that we are sending. So I'm optioning for a smaller design. And this is also a design that doesn't contain any safety eyes. Again, that's better obviously for smaller children in case something goes wrong. And though I do generally I wanted to make like a squishy plushie, like the really squishy amigurumis with chenille yarn, but I did actually option to not do that and to make a smaller version out of 100% cotton yarn. And this cotton yarn can handle a good wash. Should anything get dirty and whatnot, it can also be that these are just gonna get a nice little place on the shelf, and that's gonna be fine too. So what am I doing is that I am basically having the plain white as a background, which is neutral white, and it's made in this hobby 4/8 yarn, or 8/4 quality. So that's the thinnest hobby cotton yarn from the rainbow line here. It's 100% cotton. They recommend 2.5 to 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. These are basically 50 grams, these skeins, when they're full. This is a full skein. I do have not that much left. This was the original skein I started with, but it was already broken and open when I started working with it, so I knew I might not have enough, which is why I brought the extra one down from my stash. But if the skein's full, it's 50 grams to 170 meters of yarn, so that's equally 1.75 ounces to 186 yards. And 100% cotton. It's a super fine yarn, designed in Denmark, but it's made in India, so it's Indian cotton. It can be ironed, and given this is white, you can actually boil wash it should you want to. Don't tumble dry, don't bleach, so lay flat to dry regardless. And they are of course Oeko-Tex branded 100, which is perfect. Tested against harmful substances, and they're gonna be with kids. So yeah, what's not like? I am using this gray for the hooves, or claws. Oh, claws is wrong. Hooves. It's a cattle hoof, right? Yes, hoof. I'm using this for the hooves of the cows. Then I am using this sort of nude color for the snout. As you can see, they do have a color difference. Then normally a cow has, not normally, some cows have black spots, like they're black and white and are spotted cows. At least they are a lot in Europe. They're the Holstein cows. And I do believe these Holstein cows are really famous worldwide for a really good milk production. And I do recall that they had Holstein cows, or at least maybe not exact Holstein, but like a sort of similar breed. So they were black and white, so they have spots. So I found also a pattern with spots, of course. And instead of making it classic easy black spots, I decided I'm gonna go for a color for the gender. So the young girl is gonna get a cow with pink spots, like baby pink spots. And the boy, of course, is gonna get them with baby blue spots. That was the idea. So each project has a bunch of small items, and I finished them all. And the only thing I need to do right now is basically sew them all together. And right now, when I look at this pile on my table, I'm almost inclined to show you this pile. And I should just a minute, and then we can talk about what's in the pile. And I am actually missing one thing in the pile, which I'm likely going to add, but I will have to sew it all together and then make a decision before. Yeah, that's basically what I'm going to be doing. The crochet hook I've been using is the 2.5 millimeter crochet hook, and this is also a clover hook. It helps me assess whether and how much I like these hooks for the for the crochet hook review that I will eventually be making for you guys. But yeah, I just promised you to shortly flip this camera around so you can see this pile of all items, and don't be scared. I am kind of scared looking at this myself. There is a lot of ends that's not woven in. So yeah, just one moment and I will show you how my table looks like. Look at this. A pile of items. But do note, even though we are having this unwoven tails, that's not woven in yet, this is the pile for 2 cows. And I'm gonna go through with you what I have for each of them. Yep, big pile of stuff and items. And that's a fun thing with amigurumi, right? Especially these sew patterns is, well, except for the fact that all of us really don't like to sew that much together. But the fun thing is that you can have a bunch of things and you're like looking at them and you're like, okay, how is this on earth gonna become that? Each of the pattern have 1 snout each, and this is going to be the snout. One I did sew in the end already. I'm not sure if that was clever at all. I will have to find out soon. The other one I did leave the tail for later. So I have 2 snouts. And then, because of course, 2 cows, 2 snouts, I also have 2 heads. Where one head haven't had the tail sewn in yet, and the other did. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm gonna regret this or not. But 2 heads basically. And, oh my, I almost lost this one on the ground. And it's basically gonna be something like that, which I cannot imagine right now, but we'll see. If this is gonna be a failure, maybe I'll end up making some more squishy ones, or the parcel will go without them. But because the parcel I really want to get shipped soon is the reason I haven't shipped it yet, is because I'm making these, and that's why this cow has basically gotten its priority, and it's taken me a lot longer than I would like to care for something this small. And I have concluded making amigurumis with this yarn it's taking its cost on my fingers. It's giving me some yarn fingers, so I cannot just keep working full end on speed on them, so I need some breaks in between. So it's taking me more time than I would like to admit. Labor of love again. We have, of course, 2 bodies. Both bodies I did not sew in the ends. So they are a bit more bigger than the snouts, in the sense of they are wider but not as long. So I'm still not completely sure how that's gonna work out, but something like this. And some legs, of course. Then I have, yeah, let's do these first. I have 2 tails. These are both theoretically just 2 I-cords, basically. I made 2 I-cords. I have long ends I've not woven in yet. Still not sure if I'm going to use that end to attach to the cow, and it's just gonna be a in the end, or what I'm gonna do. But 2 tails, because each of them have a tail. Then I have a bunch of legs. I have 4 front legs, because the front and the back legs are not made the same way. I have 4 front legs here. So I have 4 of them with a bunch of ends again. And again, here I did like I did with the bunny. I made a nice clean edge for all of the legs, which has 12 crochet stitches in the round, so they are tiny. I did add an extra round actually than what the pattern says, but that's due to how I make the edges here, and it seems like it just seems nicer, I guess. Then the back legs, I also have 4 of, but they are basically the same as the front legs, but they have this extra piece on the back end where you do 6 single crochets, turn 6 single crochets, and turn 6 single crochets. So like 3 rows of 6 single crochets on top. So they look a bit more like this, you know, like with an extra added end. And of course I have 4 of those as well, for those interested, 4 back legs. Then I have 2 ears in white, and this is like, you have one of the ears is white and the one other ear is the color. Usually that would be black, but in this case it would be light blue or pink, baby pink, whatever, rose maybe. So I have 4 white ears, and I have 2, so 1 of each color here. And these ears are basically made by chaining 7, and then I flip the row, make a single crochet, a half double crochet, 2 double crochets, a half double and a slip stitch, and turn, and then make 6 single crochets back, and that gets this sort of curvy shape. And then the last thing I have is of course the spots, and each of the cow has 2 spots. 2 circular spots, either in pink or in blue. So I have 2 pink spots here, and they're just round circular spots. You could theoretically make them oval or any other spotted color, but I just stuck to the pattern to keep things simple. And again, I'm on a timeline, so it's not the time to try to freestyle it and hope that's gonna look a lot better. I've never made the pattern before. Freestyling is not my forte, with something I haven't tried before. Especially because I can't still imagine how all this is going to be put together, but we will see, because that's how it is. So that will be the 2 blue spots. Except for that, both of the eyes and the nostrils on the snout is sewn on, and they are sewn on with the same gray that was used to the spots, at least on the pattern, but I will be using this black one to make it clear what's eyes and the nostrils on the snout. And then, of course, this one doesn't include horns. I'm not sure if I mentioned that before, but I am going to include horns in the final version, I think. So basically, I'm going to sew all this together, and then I'm going to decide if I think it needs horns or if they need to be numbed off, hornless. But I'm probably butted, I think it's proper cool term. But I'm probably gonna make horns, and if I'll make horns, I will making them of these light gray, also from Hobby. We can just quickly discuss the colorways for you that's interested in it. This is a colorway, I don't have the color names on my head. This is 14. I do believe it's maybe named silver or something like that. This is 14. This neutral white is number 2. This a beige skin tone nude is colorway 89. The pink is colorway 44. The blue is colorway 71. And the black one is colorway 9. So that's basically the colors that I'm working with for this. It might be that, I kind of hope, sort of, that I've shipped this parcel before my next yarn talk video. If that's the case, I will for sure take a photo or maybe even a short video to show you the final version of these, and I will clip that in to my next yarn talk video. So that's pretty much it for this time around, and I'm just gonna quickly find my overview of how everything is gonna be for my scheduling. I have my PC here in front of me, and my scheduling right now is that we have the yarn talk today, so that's awesome. And then on Thursday, I am going to have a giveaway video. Yay! Well, you guess you're kind of used to the cadence here, right? Like Thursday giveaway, etc. So on Thursday, I will have a giveaway video, so stay tuned for that one. I am sure you will absolutely like it. At least I'm trying my best when I'm putting these giveaways together to make some very likable content. Then on Friday, I have a new yarn haul video. This yarn haul video is a very new type of yarn haul video because I actually found it's a private purchase yarn haul, so it's not from a store. I found a person on Facebook, in one of the Facebook marketplaces I am, or Facebook groups. And in there, people sell yarn that they're not used or when they're destashing or whatever. And this person was selling a sack, big bunch of yarn containing of a lot of different yarns. Some of them definitely from Hobby, but there was an array of yarns. And it was a really, really good price. And it did actually have some yarns that I'd been looking out to get myself. And it definitely underlined the fact that I wanted to get those yarns even more when I had them in my hands. So I'm looking forward to share with you that steal of a batch of yarn that somebody wanted to get rid of, but that fit absolutely perfect in my stock. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to share you that yarn haul from the Facebook marketplace. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that my yarn talk video on Monday is not going to be on Monday because I do have an appointment Monday morning with my specialist. So I have a medical appointment. Don't worry, I'm absolutely fine. This is just some of my checkups to ensure that I keep staying fine, and to make sure everything is going according to plan. So please don't worry, it's just a part of me. It's generally going a lot better, so that's positive. So therefore, instead, I have actually made an accessory haul that I'm sharing with you on Monday instead of the yarn talk video. And that is from Temu, where I have a few accessories purchased. And then, of course, I will be back Tuesday with a new yarn talk video. So that was it for now. I hope you enjoyed this time around and me chatting with you guys. At least I enjoyed sharing my progress and my yarn adventures with you. Take care, happy crafting, until I see you again. Bye.